Chapter 19. All are parts of one stupendous whole, whose body nature is, and God the soul. Alexander Pope. Oscar has a grin that a vampire would envy. Imagine fangs on a 4-foot torpedo that launches itself toward anyone who jumps into the water. We're like goldfish trapped in an aquarium with a piranha, except in this case, the aquarium is the Caribbean Ocean. The goldfish are Olympic swimmers and professional scuba divers, and the piranha is a barracuda named Oscar, whose territory we have just invaded. We are 50 miles at sea, anchored at a place called the White Sand Ridge. The nearest landfill is the west end of the Grand Bahamas Island, lying well out of sight to the southeast. 20 of us are together for 2 weeks aboard an 80-foot catamaran named Bottom Time 2. The anchor is 20 feet below, resting on a flat, sandy bottom that extends outward for more than 40 miles. Because the white sand reflects sunlight, the sea's surface is luminous and almost iridescent. Leaning against the rail, I'm dazzled by the sparkling expanse of emeralds and aquamarines that shimmer into the distance. My legs move with the ship's twin hulls, pitching and rolling to the rhythm of rippling waves. Peering overboard into the crystal clear water, I trace the outlines of a sunken wreck strewn haphazardly across the bottom. It's not a Spanish galleon laden with gold, but a glorified junk pile. The tangled debris was once a beacon light, supported high off the water on stanchions. It warned navigators to watch for dangerous shoals. Now the rusted beams support something else. After years of submersion, they have become encrusted with colonies of bright corals and anemones. Vibrant clusters of tentacles weave in the currents like blossoms in the breeze. Providing food and shelter, the coral gardens have attracted a wealth of other creatures. Rainbow-colored reef fishes forage inside coral crevices. Giant stingrays tuck themselves under the sand while schools of jacks and mullets spiral over the bottom like living whirlwinds. The wreck is a rich oasis in the subsea desert, whose treasure is not gold but life. This enormous sandbank is also the playgrounds of a remarkable pod of Atlantic spotted dolphins, whose members are renowned for their friendly interactions with human visitors. Free and untamed, these individuals live according to their own agendas. We do not bribe them with food, nor try to control them in any way. Out here, the dolphins are in charge. It is like a zoo in reverse. Human captives pacing the decks of their floating pens, waiting for the animals to come and visit. The primary goal of our expedition is to introduce the Olympic swimmers to the dolphins and to capture the encounters on film. Now we have a secondary goal, getting past Oscar. He guards the wreck like a dragon guards treasure. It's impossible to sneak into the water without him zooming in for a close inspection. Since great barracudas are known to be territorial, I suppose this one is justified in sticking his nose into everyone's business. Nevertheless, we do not appreciate his fangs anywhere near our body parts. Now that we've met Oscar and lived to tell the tale, we scout the horizon for any sign of a dorsal fin. Suddenly, someone yells from the deck, "Dolphins!" The ship explodes into a blur of bodies, moving at warp speed as if to battle stations. Ripping off t-shirts, we stampede to the lower deck, which is already a mad scramble of hands grabbing equipment, fins flip-flopping, and sunglasses flying. 20 crazed humans peel off into the water like Navy commandos. We must be quite a sight for the dolphins. As for Oscar, he has more sense than to stick around a human feeding frenzy. 5 frisky dolphins welcome us, winding their way through a maze of arms and legs. We take turns diving with whichever dolphin comes closest. They seem to enjoy mimicking our movements, diving when we dive, twirling when we twirl, and rocketing to the surface with us when we run out of air. Everyone is careful not to touch them unless the animals themselves initiate contact. Although dolphins are extremely tactile with each other, most do not appreciate being handled by humans. Offenders are usually given a wide berth, and it takes a long time to earn back their trust. When the dolphins discover our Olympic swimmers, they dash in circles like excited puppies, bubbles streaming from their blowholes, focusing beams of sound and projecting them into the water in a series of high-pitched clicks and whistles. They summon others within sonar range. Soon we are surrounded by the whole neighborhood. Spotted dolphins begin arriving in small groups from every direction. The older individuals have more markings than the younger ones. Elders are entirely covered, white spots on top and black ones underneath. Juveniles have only splatterings on their sides and bellies, and young calves have no marks at all. Now there are as many dolphins as there are humans, splashing and diving together in one gigantic, fantastic pool party. Warm and clear, the Caribbean Ocean is like a swimming pool without sides. The shallow bottom is within our breath-holding capacity, so we don't need to use scuba. Besides, the dolphins seem spooked by the ex, ex, by all the bubbles. Free diving feels more natural. Surfacing for air like marine mammals seems more in tune with the environment. Matt Biondi, owner of 8 Olympic gold medals, is incredible to watch. At 6 feet 7 inches tall, Matt is 10 feet long with his arms outstretched. That's longer than the 7-foot dolphins. Demonstrating his speed and agility, he draws an excited crowd of juveniles who wheel around him, nodding their heads and whistling in approval. Equally impressive are Tracy Ruiz Conforto and the Josephine twins, Karen and Sarah. All 3 are gold medalists in synchronized swimming. The twins, with a lifetime of practice together, move in perfect harmony, amazing everyone with their breath-holding skills. Twisting and twirling with dolphin partners, they perform a stunning underwater ballet. Tracy is the mermaid in our midst. She is like a dolphin, moving in fluid elegance. Holding her breath for minutes at a time, she surfaces, takes a deep breath, and goes immediately back underwater. Meanwhile, the rest of us are gasping for air between dives. Tracy is truly the most graceful person I have ever seen underwater. Happily, I'm not the only one who is overwhelmed by our champions. Whereas most dolphin encounters range from 10 to 60 minutes, our very first one lasts a record 3 hours. Toward the end of the section, I'm resting on the surface. A young female brushes up against my shoulder, her face just a few inches away. Resisting the urge to touch her, I keep my hands glued to my side and softly coo through my snorkel. "You're so beautiful," I whisper, my heart filled with emotions. A soft brown eye, brimming with intelligence, peers inquisitively into my mask. Every time I vocalize, she squints as if trying to see inside of me. It feels as if we're both asking each other simultaneously, Who are you? Like two different worlds converging, I recognize in her aquatic version of myself we're separated species, yet we share the same sense of joy, curiosity, and trust. Looking into her radiant eye, I feel an enormous, powerful connection. I think she feels it too. For several moments, we experience the magic of two spirits spilling into each other. Then the spell is broken, and we burst into one last playful romp beneath the waves. A wonderful week passes, with multiple daily encounters, but not today. Today we have had nothing. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There is no wind, and the tropical sun is scorching. The humidity is high enough to hatch mosquitoes. Everyone is irritable from the heat. Naturally, the last person I want to deal with right now is Donna, or should I say prima donna. She is 17 years old, an Olympic hopeful, surly and ill-mannered. From the moment we departed, Donna has been acting like Cleopatra, treating the scuba divers on board as if we were ship rats. The irony here is that most of the swimmers went on this trip free of charge because the divers paid full price in order to help sponsor them. Now Her Majesty is directly in my face, decreeing that only swimmers and not divers should be allowed in the water with the dolphins. Suddenly I'm Chernobyl, ready to explode. I feel like throwing her overboard to Oscar and decide to throw myself instead. While most of the crew members are down below in their air-conditioned quarters, I slather on sunscreen, grab mask, fins, and snorkel, and jump ship. The fiberglass cave between the ship's twin hulls is enticing. I venture inside, welcoming the shade and privacy. Then I discover I'm not alone. Suspended 3 feet below and 4 feet in front of me is Oscar. Motionless, we eyeball each other. Should I withdraw graciously? The cool and quiet is so refreshing, I hate to leave. After all, the barracuda hasn't actually chewed up anybody, I rationalize. Suddenly, the fish starts snapping his jaws together like an attack dog. I begin nervously backpedaling, wishing I could walk on water. Then something catches my eye. Oscar has a hitchhiker, a small fish, several inches long, known as a remora or shark sucker. This little fella seems to be grooming him. As the barracuda thrusts his mouth open, the gill openings on the side of his head extend, enabling the slender fish to slip inside. It darts under the bony cover, snatches up a bug-like parasite, and zips out before the hatch closes. I watch in awe as the process repeats itself. Suddenly, it becomes clear. Oscar's vicious dog routine isn't a striking warning at all. It's his personal hygiene. Intrigued by my new discovery, I ease in for a better view. But my sudden movement startles him. He swims out from under the boat. Wondering what else goes on in a barracuda's world, I gulp a breath of air and glide under the hull after him. For the next 3.5 hours, I am Oscar's shadow. First, we tour his domain. He shows me the perimeters, swimming a wide circle around the wreck. Then he cruises down among his subjects, whom I expect to see dash for cover. Instead, hundreds of tiny silversides in a huge welcoming committee rise up as one to greet him. With tail fins pumping to keep up, they seem delighted by the big fish's presence. I can almost hear little munchkin voices squealing. Look, it's Oscar! Oscar, wait for us! Eventually, all the little fish give up, and everyone swims back down to the safety of the wreck. All except one. One small silverside has dropped out of school to swim with Godzilla. Not only puzzling, the picture of these two unlikely sidekicks is quite comical. Several hours passed, and now Oscar and I swim side by side, our heads only a foot apart. The distance between us has shrunk dramatically, and not just in the physical sense. I began to realize that fear is about not understanding. When you don't understand someone, it is easy to misconstrue his behavior. I know now that Oscar is not the bully I thought he was. He is just a curious and tenacious creature, trying to survive in a fish eat fish world. The monster is not a monster anymore. Suddenly, I have this ridiculous urge to pet him. I look fondly at my fingers, wondering how I would manage without them. Pet a barracuda? No, I can't believe I'm entertaining such a stupid idea. But then, before I can stop myself, I boldly go where no one in their right mind has gone before, with at least some sensibilities still intact. I start at a point farthest away from Oscar's teeth. Taking a deep breath, I begin caressing his tail fin more lightly than a butterfly kiss. He quivers slightly at my touch, but doesn't seem to mind. Encouraged, I try again, only this time I pet him farther forward, along his side. I stroke him several more times until I finally have to stop to clear my mask. No wonder it's full of water. I'm grinning like a Cheshire cat. Meanwhile, topside, I'm the only one who is being observed, totally focused on the fish. I'm completely unaware that people are watching me. The realization hits home when Donna, the Queen of the Nile, graces the water. Immediately, Oscar rushes, with me trailing behind. Madly thrashing her arms and legs, Donna shrieks in the whiniest of voices, "Get your stupid fish away from me!" I shake my head in disbelief, laughing at the absurdity, yet secretly, for a wicked moment, I wish Oscar really was under my command. Now it's almost sunset, and several other barracudas, smaller than Oscar, trespass his territory. My diving buddy is visibly unnerved by the intruders, yet as long as they don't turn their noses toward him, he tolerates their presence. And then I notice the little shark sucker clamping down on the big fish's head. Is he securing for takeoff? Sure enough, one of the barracudas has challenged Oscar, who blasts off in pursuit like a guided missile. I had no idea fish could move that fast. One minute he is beside me, and the next he is gone. Squinting after him, I see nothing but deepening gloom. I feel as if part of me has been ripped away. After all of these hours of communing with another life form, and then to have it suddenly disappear, I feel abandoned. And the truth is, I've grown attached to this orthodontic nightmare. Lifting my head from the water, I catch the splendid remains of a tropical sunset, pinks and mauves in every hue imaginable. I marvel at the beauty and mystery of life, and how little of it we really comprehend, like Oscar. He seemed so repulsive until I got to know him. I pity the person who would try to catch him now. I'd be furious. I'd remember I remember Captain Cousteau saying, "People protect what they love." Then I think of Donna. Perhaps if I had spent over 3 hours alone with her, she wouldn't seem so repulsive either. For a moment, I'm stunned by the revelation. Maybe that's the lesson the old fish was teaching me. Putting my head back in the water, intending to snorkel to the boat, I nearly jump out of my skin. There's Oscar right next to me. "I can't believe you came back," I sputter. At the same moment, I realize how late I am for dinner. "Sorry, old buddy. Now it's my turn to leave," I tell him, kicking toward the stern. Halfway back, trickles of water start seeping into my mask again. Looking over at Oscar, I can't stop smiling. Here I am in the middle of the ocean, being escorted home by a fish. Suddenly the image of the little Silverside pops into my mind. I suppose a human and a barracuda make an odd-looking couple, too. We arrive at the swim step, and I remove my fins. Good night, Oscar. See you tomorrow, I say, climbing up the ladder. I feel so honored that already on this trip I have twice connected with another species. Maybe Donna will be the third, I muse, grabbing my towel. During dinner, my friends on board tease me about my new boyfriend. No, I did not kiss him good night, I replied jokingly. The spirit of camaraderie has replaced the early tensions of the day. I look across the room at Donna and smile. Indirectly, she's responsible for my wonderful afternoon. Tomorrow, filmmaker Tom Fitz plans to shoot a sequence of Mia with Oscar. He hopes to use it in his current videos featuring the swimmers and dolphins. After finishing dinner, he asked me, "Why don't you tell us about your day with Oscar?" When I explain the real reason why the barracuda snaps his teeth together, everyone laughs in collective relief. One more time, I'm amazed how a little bit of knowledge can lead to understanding, and how understanding can lead to compassion. The lesson is even more obvious the next day when Oscar, between our dolphin encounters, manages to entertain a whole flotilla of curious new friends. No longer can we discount the lives of sensitive and intelligent creatures merely because they assume non-human form. The things that make life most precious and blessed, courage and daring, conscience and compassion, imagination and originality, fantasy and play, do not belong to our kind alone. Gary Kowalski.